Welcome everyone. You are in the showcase webinars in the renewables industry as a tool for marketing, sales, and business development. We are not starting quite yet. As you know, people had to download the software, so we'll wait a couple of minutes to allow everyone to get in, and we'll start promptly. Thank you. So, time to start. Welcome to this showcase. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. We are from ATA Insights. We are here in Madrid. I'm Araceli Giner, marketing manager in ATA Insights, and I'm here with my colleague Manuel. He's the sales manager in ATA Insights. And we are about to explain, this is like a meta webinar because we'll explain the importance of the webinars as a tool to get contacts and sales in the last place in the renewable industry. Because even if it's a general tool, you have to know your target audience very well, and that means a difference among any other industry. First of all, I'll open a presentation here that will help you to follow the instructions or the explanation. um, there are like tons of strategies in marketing, even in B2B marketing, which is the thing we are talking about today. Business to business is quite different than business to customers. We are talking about marketing from companies to other companies. You need providers, you need partners, you need the clients itself, but it's not like selling t-shirts at all. So one of the categories that can divide the marketing in a most useful way, as we understand in Data Insights, is push versus pull marketing. The main difference among these two is, are you trying to force a little bit your audience to get in touch with you, or are you offering them something that will make them go closer to you? In these terms, the push marketing is like more traditional. That's not a bad things. I mean, this is not supposed to mean that one strategy is better than the other. Actually, are pretty complementary. But push marketing is where you are chasing your target audience, for example, with adverts in the roads or banners in a website. You are telling them to buy your products, and that's it. On the other hand, pull marketing, webinars are a way of pull marketing, for example, means that you are throwing something interesting through internet or any other channel, but we are working mostly in digital. You throw something that you think that may be interesting for your target audience. For example, if you're looking for installers specifically, you may create, for example, a guide for installers to be successful at some part of their job. You trust that that target audience is going to find your guide interesting, they will download it, etc. So webinars are, as I mentioned, pull marketing. For example, you didn't receive, you didn't see this webinar advertised on TV. You just found it on social media, or you received an email and you came by yourself. That's because we are not going to insist on you to come in. So, but at the moment you decided to register, you gave us information that you have the interest on this session. And at the moment you are attending, you're like in a second level of interest for this. That's what it's called in marketing, that a cold lead, someone who doesn't know about you, is turning into a hot lead, someone who has interest in your product. I know it's a very sexy name. This is how marketing is. And the second level is, this is what it's called in marketing, the sales funnel. It's just a visual way to show the path of any person, in not only in B2B, in B2C is the same, when they are going to buy something. In B2C, people go very fast from one part to the other one. But in B2B, in business to business, you usually make a very big purchase. This means you have to consider a lot of things to make sure you are doing the right choice. You need a lot of information, and you need to talk a lot with a person who knows what they are doing. For example, salesperson is usually have more knowledge about the product and the industry than in many other cases. For example, the awareness phase is when that first of all you have to know about the existence of a product or service. Then the interest, it's pretty clear. All of these phases I just mentioned that we have two different kind of webinars. The usual ones, it's 1 hour, people talk about interesting topics, and that's it. That covers the first 3 phases of the funnel: awareness, interest, and consideration. In the showcase, which is 30 minutes only usually, people talk about their product. That's it. So it covers also the 4th phase. But in any case, it doesn't matter if you are a developer, you are an EPC, or wherever. All of your clients are going through this funnel. Sometimes faster, that's what you want to achieve, to make it faster, and sometimes slowly. What we are trying to do with the webinars is to make sure your efforts, both of time, of your team working on preparing the session and everything, it's worth it. Because you know that the people you are going to explain your service to is really a potential client. So that's something that we achieve by creating the sessions. First of all, creating the topic. The topic has to be interesting for the target audience you have in the specific place where you want to sell your service or product. The topic filters a lot, much more than any other thing. The more specific you go, the better. And that's why it's not enough by hiring a service of webinars or having a platform. You need someone who really understands the industry to select the main topic for the main audience. That can be achieved, for example, by calling on the phone to the clients you want to reach and asking them, what are you interested in? In Data Insights, we already know about that because we made many webinars and people talks about if it was interesting or not. But if you are thinking about doing it by yourself, you have to ask directly, and to many people. So as I mentioned, the webinars are are directed to your target audience. In other insights, we have renewables, a renewable energy community. You may be part of that. Thank you for that. And we can use many different channels. The important part is that you're not reaching only to the same people all the time. So you may want to spread the word through social media, through our community, through your own database, through media partners. The important thing is that they register for the session. That means some interest. Later on, they will qualify by themselves by attending or not, by watching the recording or not, by writing you an email asking for more information or not. That's why it's so important, the webinars, to qualify the people that you're trying to reach. They will simplify the process for your salesperson, as it will tell you who is showing more interest, who is a hot lead, and you can start calling there. Because it doesn't make any sense to call someone who doesn't know anything about you, and it makes a lot of sense to start talking with a person who is more on the point to listen to you and who listened to your speech in a webinar and made some questions. So it's quite sure that it's relying on the know-how that you're showing at the session. So to finish, I would like to say that a webinar is like a good combo, because it allows you to launch products and services directly to the people who are actively searching for them. That's the topic, as I mentioned. If you choose a good topic, you'll have the right audience. To get ahead on the doubts or squeamishness that your potential clients may have about your products or service, because they can make you questions that you may not have think about. They tell you about your thoughts. By the way, send your questions for us through the Q&A box or the chat box. We'll read them out loud by the end of the session if we have enough time. It's also a good tool to get qualified leads from the market niche in the renewables industry, helping the sales department to save a lot of time and effort, as I already mentioned. And this is very important. Most of the people forget about the branding, but it's important to strengthen the branding through your own expert team, the speakers in the session. The webinars takes 1 hour as much, so it uses very little time from your technicians. And now I'll let you with my colleague Manuel. Manuel, please introduce yourself as well. He will talk about the sales itself. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Manuel. I'm the sales manager here at ATA Insights. And as Araceli said, I'd like to start speaking about the why of webinars. There's basically 4 reasons. I imagine the other day I was speaking with a client and he told me why he should do webinars. And these were the 4 ideas that I came up that I think are the best way to resume this idea of webinars. The first one is thought leadership. Many companies and many speakers in conferences or webinars try to describe themselves as authorities on a certain field and experts. Webinars are a way to create content and allow yourself to explain and show that expertise that you have to a base of thousands of people that are watching you. Branding is another very important thing about webinars. As Araceli described, webinars are a great way to get hundreds of people to recognize your brand, your services, and your expertise of business. Content marketing is one of the main strategies being developed today by many companies. It's important to create original content that attracts your target audience, engages with them, and allows them to create a bond that follows your content every time. And finally, lead generation is one of the most important parts of webinars. As I said, today our program, for example, has thousands of followers, and speaking on our webinars is a way to make sure that you obtain the contact information of that people that are interested in your product and in what you had to say, and that you are able to reach them after and start a business relationship with them. If we were thinking about the who are the people that are meant to use the webinars as a tool for growing their sales and their marketing? So for example, an EPC, someone who works in engineering, procurement, and construction of renewable energy projects, is very keen to trying to speak to developers, owners, investment, independent power producers, anybody that might be a client of his when he tries to provide. So it's very important for EPCs to use webinars as a space to show their successful projects. If you were an EPC that's working on bifacial technology and just finished a big project in Middle East, then it's great to create a webinar where you can show the success of that project, which were the objectives and what did you achieve with that project. Manufacturers, anybody that can be a module producer, a tracker, a manufacturer of a battery or any other storage system, anybody that has a product that they produce and that they need EPCs or project owners, utilities, investment funds, banks, anybody that needs to know about your product and that you want to communicate to, then webinars are a great tool to bring your product to the webinar and talk about it. Consultants are a very big part also of the people speaking at the webinars. As you know, there are legal advisors, financial advisors, any type of advisory that you can provide could be shown in a webinar. It's great to choose an interesting subject for your target audience and bring all your expertise to show those people watching you that you might be the right advisor for them. And finally, developers and independent power producers. Probably they don't get anything to sell in this type of webinars, but it's very important for them to be known by the local players in the markets that they are planning to open. So if a developer is trying to reach new markets, for example, Latin America, it's a good way to do a webinar about that market and the opportunities that the developer sees for it, so that local players might get in connection with them, start a relationship, and also government agencies. So if we're speaking about our webinars, we currently have 2 programs ready for anybody who would like to use them. The Relearn program is our main program. It's been running for the past 2 years and currently has over 16,500 active followers. The program usually has a 1-hour session where we have up to 3 speakers that will touch different points around the webinar. Each speaker gets around 10 to 15 minutes to speak and can come with some slides to present his case study or whatever point he's talking on the webinar about. We also offer, as you can see in this webinar, the Q&A box for people to ask questions and for the speakers to get instant feedback from the audience, and also the possibility to do polls so that you can get some sort of market investigation done through the webinar. At the end of the webinars, we do offer the participants reports so that they might see what was the level of audience present at the webinar, where were the locations from the people that registered to watch a webinar, and we also can share the list of emails of the companies that were present among the audience. Leads, as I said, it's something optional that we offer depending on your needs. If you're interested and you have sales teams that can call these people later or reach them through email, then it's important that you get your leads and try to do something after the webinar with them. Webinars are always recorded and are ideal for launching new technologies, entering new markets, talking about tenders, regulation, anything that is broad and related with renewable energy. Finally, our showcase program. This program consists of 30-minute sessions. It's much shorter, as you're seeing today in this demonstration. We try only to have 1 speaker at the webinar, but we do offer the Q&A and the polling as well as we did in the Relearn program. Performance reports are included where you get to see all the analytics from the results of your webinar. And you can also get access to your leads, and the webinars are recorded for you to use that material in any way you like after the webinar. These webinars are ideal to launch new products. Ideally, a manufacturer who is working on a new panel or on a new tracker or anything that you like can use this program to do a 30-minute session of the product with people that are engineers or technicians who are interested in the product itself. So if we were to resume this and say why you should have webinars as a part of your marketing strategy, I would say webinars are a great tool to have in your marketing plans. First of all, because they are easily to measure. You can measure the impact of your webinar through the analytic reports, through the leads that you generate, and through the contact that you get from the people through the Q&A box and through the chats. There's a lot of feedback, there's a lot of measuring that can be done with webinars to know if your actions were efficient or not. Also, they are a great way to obtain quality leads. These leads are important to develop your business, and therefore webinars are a great tool to obtain them. And finally, I believe webinars are great also to open new markets without moving from your office. You don't need to go to conferences or travel to get in contact with people from different regions, and webinars are a tool for this. And most importantly, it's a great tool to reduce your carbon footprint. Today, when we travel in airplane to assist a conference or an event, there's a lot of emissions that we are doing, and webinars have a much lower cost as a carbon footprint compared to events or other options. So that's why we will recommend webinars as your next marketing tool.
Thank you so much. If you have any question for us, this is the right time. You can use the chat box to send us the questions. I just wanted to point from my colleague's presentation the importance of the report. If you are throwing many adverts, banners, etc., pieces of advertisement to through a lot of media, wasting your money there, it's important to know if it's working or not. So the report has like two different uses. One of them is to check if it worked or not, and the other one is to check who has interest in your product, because maybe you are making a lot of effort to sell your PV panels to specific people in China, and it turns out that when you make a webinar with us, if you don't specify that we have to look for the Chinese only, maybe at the report you'll find out that most of the people who registered for your session, who attended for your session, and who sent you a lot of questions showing interest in your product was located actually in South Africa or wherever. So the webinars are useful to sell your products or services to the target audience you already know that it's important to you. But also, if you want to launch a product that you are not that sure who it should be targeting to, it helps you a lot with the report, with the information that we are going to send you about what companies are watching you, what companies are sending questions to you, and yeah, where are they watching the recording maybe, because it also helps to have the video forever there if you want to show how your product has to be used. And that's it. I think it's enough today. We learned a lot, but we promise we'll have another session next month. We'll keep you updated about that in order to let you register for the next session with a different view on the marketing side for renewables. Thank you so much.